The sun was dipping behind the rooftops when Angela Morris stepped out of her SUV, her badge tucked beneath her jacket and her grocery bags rustling softly. She had just finished a 12-hour shift at the county sheriff's department and wanted nothing more than a quiet evening. But as she reached her driveway, a man in an ill-fitting HOA compliance officer vest stepped out from behind a hedge, his hand gripping a gun aimed directly at her chest. His voice shook with a desperate bravado. "Ma'am, you're violating HOA regulations. Step away from the vehicle." For a heartbeat, Angela thought she was imagining it. A stranger? A gun? In her own driveway? And all because she supposedly broke a rule she knew didn't exist. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. Angela's grocery bag slipped from her hands as her mind shifted from exhaustion to training. Her breath steadied even as her pulse raced. She studied his trembling grip, the manufactured authority in his stance, and the way his eyes darted nervously around the quiet cul-de-sac. Something wasn't right, not just with the situation, but with him. He wasn't a cop. He wasn't a real HOA officer. He was scared and hiding something. Neighbors peeked from behind blinds, silhouettes frozen in place. The air thickened, as if the entire street held its breath. "Sir," Angela said calmly, "put the weapon down. Whatever you think I did, we can talk. Don't move," he barked, voice cracking. "You people always think you can break the rules. Trash cans out too long. Parking the wrong way. I have authority here." His insecurity clung to every word. Angela raised her hands slowly. Her jacket shifted enough to reveal the corner of her badge. His eyes widened, but didn't soften. "You got a real badge, huh?" he muttered. "Not real enough for me." She could feel her neighbors watching, some terrified, some whispering, some simply hoping this wouldn't turn into another tragedy on the evening news. She wondered who would choose to speak up if things got worse. Who would step forward? Who would pretend they saw nothing at all? Her heart clenched at the thought. "Sir," she said again, "I need you to listen. You don't tell me what to do," he snapped. "You follow the rules." Or else he stepped closer, and sunlight caught the side of his vest. The logo was crooked, cheaply printed, and the words Neighborhood Enforcement Unit were spelled wrong. Whoever he was, he had put this disguise together himself.
Poorly.
A neighbor's screen door creaked. The man flinched, swinging the gun slightly, and a gasp rippled across the street. Angela felt the tension snap like a wire pulled too tight. She knew this was the moment, the breaking point. Her voice lowered, warm yet steady. "Look at your hands. They're shaking. This isn't who you want to be." For a second he hesitated, and she saw the fragile humanity beneath the aggression. But just as quickly it hardened again. "Drop to your knees," he ordered. She didn't move. She didn't need to, because at that exact moment a black SUV rolled silently to the curb. The door opened, and out stepped Deputy Sheriff Marcus Reed, her cousin, followed by 3 on-duty officers who had been tracking reports of a man impersonating law enforcement. The fake HOA cop whipped around, startled, gun wavering wildly. Angela took her chance. In one fluid motion, she grabbed his wrist, twisted and disarmed him before he even understood what was happening. The gun clattered across the driveway, sliding to Marcus's boots. The man stumbled, stunned, as Angela pinned him to the ground, her training precise, her movements controlled. Gasps turned to whispers, whispers to murmurs. Soon, half the street had stepped outside, some filming, some shaking their heads, some clapping in disbelief. He pointed a gun at her, or someone said. "She's the sheriff?" another asked. The man underneath her groaned, the fight draining out of him. I didn't know," he stammered. "I thought I just wanted to feel like somebody cared what I said. I thought people would finally listen if I acted like I had authority." Angela paused, her grip loosening slightly as his confession sank in. Loneliness, insecurity, a pathetic but dangerous need for control. It didn't excuse what he'd done, but it explained why he'd spiraled this far. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder.
"You good?"
She nodded, though the adrenaline still hummed through her bones. The man was taken into custody, and the crowd slowly dispersed. Some offered supportive smiles. Few apologized for not stepping in sooner. Others remained silent, haunted by the realization of how easily fear can paralyze a community. Angela picked up her groceries, hands still trembling slightly. She wasn't shaken by the danger she had faced worse. She was shaken by how quickly a person could lose themselves in the hunger for power, and how easily that hunger could break others. Later, as she stood on her porch watching the sunset paint the sky, she thought about the man's final words, the desperation in them, the emptiness. Justice mattered, but so did understanding. She whispered to herself, almost like a prayer, because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, it finds its way back. And in the stillness of the evening, their heartbeats slowly calming and her community returning to normal, she realized something else: power isn't measured by who commands fear. It's measured by who chooses restraint when the world gives them permission not to. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And tell me, have you ever seen someone pretend to be more powerful than they are? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Watch another story next. Your seat by the fire is always waiting.